Dandavats, dear devotees and dear guests. So we have Devashish Prabhu here today. It's amazing senior Vaishnava, and I hope everybody met him in person, and also maybe everybody know about book, also Service Life, which he compiled and published. It's very important book to those who try to practice sadhana and try to live also in ashram. So if you have some practical questions, spiritual, please ask in voice, raise your hand, virtual or real one, or chat, or just type it in the chat box. We will translate if you speak Russian, and don't be shy. It's always inspiring to listen what devotees ask and what Vaishnavas answer. And always, if you don't know what to ask, we have Narayani. She always know what to ask. It's very good to have her. For Devashish Prabhu, you can also share something. Of course, you always have something which inspires you because you read a lot of books of our gurus, and maybe something in the temple or between devotees happened and you can share with us. And you would like to say something?
Yeah. Okay, let's start things rolling. So it's a reoccurring theme for me. Oh, first of all, do I need to leave some space for translation, or simultaneous translation?
It's simultaneous. Yuvati Didi is translating into Russian, so we can fluently speak.
Okay. Yeah, so as I said, a recurring theme for me in my own life, and I like to discuss and share with other devotees, is that we shouldn't take Krishna consciousness only on a superficial level. We should try to go deep into what is real Krishna consciousness, what is required of us if we wish to progress in our own spiritual life. We shouldn't think that just dressing up and running about will give us Krishna consciousness. We have to try to go within ourselves and reflect on what it is that we need to practice for our progress in spiritual life. In other words, in Sanskrit, this is called Atma-samarpana, which means self-examination. So in other words, you need to look where I am now, and you need to be thoroughly honest with yourself about that. Not how I appear to be to other people or anything, but where am I now in relation to Krishna consciousness, and where is it that I wish to go? And how do I get from here to there? And we shouldn't think that that any institution, ashram, society, any of such thing will give us that. Only our own inner hankering will give us that. And with the help of those who have progressed on the path, who have gone through many things and have experience on the path, we can also go very happily on that. But we shouldn't become diverted by anything other than pure Krishna consciousness. So, you know, we're not really interested actually in what they call Vedanga. Vedanga, often devotees become diverted by Vedanga, which means, you know, astrology, Ayurveda, yoga, all of these kind of things. They're called Vedanga, but they're not the goal of what we're trying to practice. What we're trying to practice is self-surrender to surrender ourselves to the will of the Lord. And if we can understand what that means and how we can achieve that, then we can progress nicely in Krishna consciousness. And not so much just about, how others perceive us, how we look, how we portray ourselves to others, but rather we need to be thoroughly truthful about who we are and where we are, and how much in need of Krishna's mercy we are. We need Krishna's mercy and the mercy of Krishna's devotees. And if we can get that, and if we can try to stop all of the incessant chatter that's going on within our mind, and try to focus very strongly and clearly on service to Lord Krishna and his devotees, and what that actually means, and what's actually required of us, then we can progress. We shouldn't think just about the superficial things, but rather the deep things, which, in other words, if everything else were to leave us, what would that one thing be that we require to be able to continue on the path of Krishna consciousness, on the progressive journey towards the plane of reality? So this is for me, it's a reoccurring theme that I have to always think about a lot, and I want to share that with everybody else, in as much as I want you also to try to become deeply aware about Krishna consciousness, rather than just be carried along with the outward things. Then everything will come to you. Everything that you need will come to you. The association that you need will come to you, and the right spiritual mindset will also come to you, and that will be very necessary for us. So, in other words, we often think that if we change our outward environment, then that will be more favorable for us for practicing Krishna consciousness. And although that may be true to a certain extent, what we must always remember is that wherever you are, there you are. In other words, wherever you are, that same person that you were in the other environment is still you. That same person with all of the headaches and difficulties and misconceptions and all of those things, that doesn't change by changing your environment. So you have to adapt yourself to the environment and change within yourself, change yourself within, rather than just thinking that changing some external thing or external circumstances, that will give you what you desire. You are the main focus. Your main focus should be always on it's termed as Anartha-nivritta. That means removing all of the unwanted things from within us. And Anartha-nivritta is a long journey, a very long journey, and it becomes more and more subtle and more precise as we progress in spiritual life. So Bhaktivinod Thakur, he has described the four main anarthas on the path of a devotee. The first one is misidentification. It means thinking yourself to be something that you're not. In other words, thinking that you're the body, thinking that you're the mind, thinking that you're all the thoughts that are running around inside your head, thinking that how others perceive you, and all of the opinions that you've gathered over your lifetime and so on, that's you. That's the first anartha that we have to try and deal with, that which misidentification with the self, that we think the self is something that it isn't. And that's very common, although philosophically we understand, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not all of these things. When you look in the mirror, you still think, oh, that's me looking back. So, you know, this is the first anartha. The second anartha is wanting things from this material world, thinking that you can achieve satisfaction by gaining something in this material world, whatever that may be, whether that's wealth, whether that's independence, whether that's, you know, this thing or that thing, or whatever it may be, you know. Then that's the second anartha. The third anartha is offences. So we know there are so many offences in devotional service. The most prominent are the 10 offences to the holy name, and amongst those, the most prominent offence is offence towards the Vaishnava, to harbour some bad feeling towards any Vaishnava, especially those who have dedicated their lives to the preaching and service of the holy name. So that's the third anartha, the offences. And the fourth anartha, which is the real big one, actually, is weakness of heart. That you know everything, you know what you should do, you know everything, but you can't be bothered. Can't be bothered to do it. Oh, I just can't be bothered to do it. That's such a difficult one for us to overcome, because we're always searching for comfort and convenience rather than that which is necessary for us in our spiritual life. And in our search for comfort and convenience, we think, oh, can't be bothered with all of that. That's required of me to practice spiritual life. It's too much. It's I just don't want to do it. And I still want spiritual life, but I don't actually want to put the work in for what's actually required. So that's considered weakness of heart. So these four things, they're considered to be the main anarthas on the path of devotion. And for any progressive devotee, they should always be battling with all of these four anarthas at the same time to try to rid yourself of those step by step, little by little, not to become discouraged. And how not to become discouraged, because it does sound like a big, huge task, and it is. But how not to become discouraged is to find the association of those who are enthusiastic for spiritual life, those who are practicing and themselves enthusiastic for Krishna, enthusiastic for Krishna's service, and enthusiastic for Krishna consciousness. That will give us enthusiasm, and that will help us combat this weakness of heart that we find within ourselves. So anyway, these are just some things that I wanted to share, because they're things which are all constantly in my own consciousness, and I think it's healthy to have these things in our minds, this self-examination that we need to do all of the time. So I don't know if that raises any questions, or if anyone wants to ask something or say something about that. Here I am.
Thank you, Devashish Prabhu. Yeah, it's like you always put mind and like the proper eagle of vision, like Monindra Mahan always say, the main task for us in the morning to find the proper eagle of vision. And for me, this was very important to hear from you. Just living in the ashram, on some moment I realized that I can put sari, put tilak, and stand on the altar and do puja, but what is going on, it's like external, but what is going inside is like a hell. And but also in the same time you answered that I was judging myself about what is going in my mind, but also you answered that I'm not my thoughts. So it gives small relief. And we have Kishore Prabhu raised hand, so he will ask his question. It will be, I think, in Russian, and I will then translate.
Sure.
Dandavad.
Dandavad, Prabhuji.
Very happy to see you, Devashish Prabhu, and like happy to receive from my smartphone like association of true devotee of senior Vaishnava. This feeling which I have, it's not like something pleasant. I want just to say you this feeling like. Feeling of association of true devotee I have after I spent 15 years in association of Avadut Maharaj.
Да, и вопрос, я хотел задать о предательстве, ну, тема моего вопроса предательство.
Yes. So my question is about the betrayal. Продолжайте. I don't know why betrayal, because the explanation of the question is that when I was in association of Avadut Maharaj, in some moment, in the end, I was receiving what Gurudev gave us, but anyway, in some point, I wasn't able to continue. Like I needed to go back to my family to take care of my wife and like of my life at all, material life.
Вот это чувство, ну, то, что я впитал, я сейчас стараюсь транслировать здесь, как бы немножко в отдалении.
And continuing of the explanation is that somehow we have a beautiful mission, like we have beautiful devotees, but the feeling of betrayal again is always there. For example, for Kishore Prabhu, it's like that, and he cannot get rid of this feeling, and each day he starts from some confession, like to get rid of it, and also he wants to hear your point of view about feeling of betrayal, because it's said in the scripture that it can be even in the Krishna association, like everything in the Krishna consciousness is like positive, so even betrayal can be used some in positive way. So just can you help Prabhu, Kishore Prabhu to understand this feeling? This is like from his words what I understand what he's asking.
Okay, so is it that he feels that because he had to go and take care of his family and so on, that the betrayal is from him, or that the betrayal is from the devotees towards him? Which?
This is in the perspective of taking part in different projects which Avadut Maharaj do. Like, is it better to take part in these projects, or is it better like to be on the distance and just somehow by himself, like about to keep giving message of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, like in his personal devotional life and in the way he can do that. So which side to choose, this or that?
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that. Our circumstances change, and sometimes we're fully engaged in the missionary work of the spiritual movement, and sometimes we have to withdraw a little from that and reassess our situation, and like as in Prabhu's case, to take care of his family and so on. That is no less service to the Lord. We still serve the Lord when we take care of our family, when we take care of our home circumstance, everything. The real defining factor is not how much we're involved with the the direct missionary activity, but how much in our heart we're faithful to the cause of that. So, sometimes generally there are two paths. There's the revolutionary path, and then there's the standard path, if you like. So if you want to make a comparison, you can say, like Bhaktivinod Thakur, he taught the standard path. Follow the path, live in your home, do your duty, and serve Krishna in your heart. And the revolutionary path was shown by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Fight with Maya every day. Go to the front of where the war is. Go to the front and engage in that battle against Maya. And in that engagement, full-on engagement, you may make much progress very quickly. But conversely, it is very difficult to sustain that in your own personal life. Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he would say, it is very difficult for anyone to give themselves 100% to the service of Lord Krishna all of the time. It is a very difficult thing to ask anyone, because we're conditioned, not just in this life, but in many, many lives, to be anti-Krishna. So then to suddenly change, to give everything for Krishna, when we are young and we have much energy and so many things, and we get caught up in all of that, and we have no responsibility to anyone except ourselves, it's very easy to do that sometimes. But as we progress in our spiritual life, then we start to realize that everything is our spiritual life. It is not that we have a spiritual life and a material life. We have life. As much as that life is dedicated to the cause of Krishna consciousness, it's spiritual life. As much as it's not for that, then it's material life. But it's only one life. It's not that we have two lives and we have to choose between one or the other. It's all about a matter of degree. So how much we can give of ourselves for the service of Lord Krishna. So everything is important. It doesn't mean that those who are at the front line giving everything are less important than those who are doing the necessary things in the background. They're both important. During the Second World War, there were in Britain, they used to have what were called reserved occupations. So that meant things like farming and things that were necessary to keep the country running. They were called reserved occupations, and those people that did those occupations, they weren't required to become soldiers, because if everyone become a soldier, who's going to farm the land? Who's going to produce the food? Then, everything's going to collapse. So some people remain in their occupation because that's also necessary in the effort. So there was some false idea that those who didn't go to the war, to the front line, sign up as soldiers and go to the front line, somehow they were cowards, or they were, trying to shirk their responsibility. But that was realized by the government, and so they made this propaganda or poster, and there was a slogan: "They also serve who stand and wait." So in other words, they're saying that you don't have to be running around doing many things to be serving. Those who wait, they're also serving. They may also be serving more intently. Srila Sridhar Maharaj himself, he told me, you may see someone living in the temple 24 hours a day engaged in service, but in their heart, they're only thinking about when they can get some sense enjoyment. When they look out of the window of the temple and they see the people walking up and down the street, they envy them. They want to be them. but somehow or another they're there in the temple doing 24 hours a day. But in their heart, they want something else. And also someone may come now and again to the temple, and they may, only very briefly, but still in their heart, they want that. But their circumstances don't allow that at this time. So which is better, to be in the temple wanting to be a materialist, or to be doing so-called material activities, but in your heart wanting Krishna's devotion? What is going on internally is the most important thing. So sometimes we're in a situation where we can serve full time, and we can do many things and dedicate ourselves and forget about ourselves even while we're doing that. And sometimes we have to stand back and reassess our situation and take stock of where we actually are. It's very difficult to sustain that, you can say, revolutionary spirit. It's very difficult to maintain that. It's very difficult to give 100% of yourself 100% of the time. It's very rare. So, Srila Sridhar Maharaj would say to us, don't be surprised at who goes, but be surprised who stays. So, and who stays doesn't just mean necessarily that you're wearing the uniform and that you're, showing your face as a devotee, but what's going on inside of you. What is your inner aspiration? That should be marked. What is your inspiration for your life? That's the thing that should be marked, not just the external thing. So that's going on from what I was saying before. We have to become real about Krishna consciousness, because there is only Krishna consciousness. And as much as we're engaged in that, it's just a matter of degree. It doesn't mean if you're in your home, you're in Maya. You can be in the temple and be in Maya. So, the real thing is, where is your heart, and what is your life, and what is the inspiration of your life, and what is it that you want to achieve? Where is it that you want to go? And so in one sense, you can say the standard method is slow but sure wins the race. So, and if you get the chance, when you're with a very dynamic Vaishnava like Avadut Maharaj, then there's much chance to jump. And you may make great progress, but not everyone can maintain that. Not everyone can keep up with that. Avadut Maharaj, as I'm sure you all know, is a very difficult man to keep up with. You shouldn't feel that any failing or betrayal on your part is just the reality. So as much as we can do, when we can do it, but not to give up our ideal in life. Our ideal in life, Hari Bhajan, Hari Kirtan, Krishna consciousness, that's our ideal in life, and we have to cling on to that in whatever circumstance we are. So I'm not sure if that answers your question or not, but that's what's coming from me, in my heart, what's coming from me to you.
Thank you, Devashish Prabhu, and thank you, Kishore Prabhu. It's also very close to my situation question. Those who know me knows that. Okay, devotees, who else want to ask a question, please? We have 30 minutes still.
Dandavad, Devashish Prabhu.
Narayani Dhanavad.
Я запитаю на українській.
The question is about doing some seva, and while doing the seva, if we have some obstacles and it's hard for us to do that seva, should we keep doing that even though it's not perfect, or should we leave that because we are not doing it perfectly or in not proper, because of obstacles, not in proper mood? This question raised because I was communicating with one devotee about that.
Well, first of all, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it's better to do your own duty imperfectly than to do the duty of others perfectly. So, then you'll have to think. I mean, it may be different for everybody. We can't say that there's one answer that answers that question. If we have some service given to us by Guru and Vaishnava, and we are trying very earnestly to do that, but always some obstacle coming, and maybe that's some indication that that this isn't necessarily the right thing for me to be doing. So then, who gave you that service? Who gave you that engagement? Speak with them again. So we can say, you know, it's not just a blanket answer. When Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur, he asked Srila Sridhar Maharaj, you go and preach in London. You go to the West and preach in London. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, yes, Gurudev, if you think that I should do that, I will do that. But I think your money will be better spent if you send somebody else. So somebody might say externally, oh, he didn't obey the order of his guru. His guru wanted him to go and preach in the West, and he didn't obey that order. Why he didn't obey that order? Such a great Vaishnava order from his Gurudev. He said, no, I don't want to do it. I want to do something else. And it wasn't just a whimsical thing. He genuinely believed that someone else would have a better result. He said, I don't understand their intonation. I don't understand their habits. And I'm a simple Brahmin man. I can't mix very easily with everybody. But if you send this Prabhu, he's very worldly wise. He knows everything. He can mix easily with everyone. He's very enthusiastic, also very intelligent and very dedicated. I think you would have a better result if you sent him. So whatever the truth of the matter ultimately was, that was what happened. So it wasn't that Srila Sridhar Maharaj was just disobeying the order of his Gurudev. He considered it carefully and then offered an alternative. And his Guru Maharaj accepted. He didn't say, oh, that's Sridhar Maharaj, he doesn't follow anything I say. Now, he considered what Srila Guru Maharaj said very deeply and concluded, yes, maybe it would be better to send this person at this particular time. And there may be other factors included in that. So, you know, it depends on the individual, depends on the service, it depends on so many other factors. But all I can say is if you're trying heart and soul and still not getting the result, the desired result, then maybe it's better to reassess the situation and discuss an alternative. But always, if it's real service comes down from above. So real service will be given to us by Guru and Vaishnava. It's not that we just make up something and then offer it to Krishna and that's service. No, service must come from the upper quarter for it to be real service. Otherwise, it may just be karma kanda. That means, you know, just doing something that we like and then offering the result of that to Krishna or something like that. So if it's real service, then it should come from a real Vaishnava. And if there's some difficulty in that service that seems to be insurmountable, then approach that Vaishnava that originally gave that service and discuss with them, is this the right way to go or not? You know, Srila Guru Maharaj didn't say, no, definitely I'm not going. He said to his Guru Maharaj, yes, Maharaj, if you think I should go, if you insist, then of course I'll go. But I think maybe this would be a better way of approaching this. So there's no offense in that. That's actually a mature way of looking at everything. We shouldn't just be, blind followers. And if something we feel so much opposition in the environment against our particular course of service, then we should try to see what it is that. Is it something within me? Is it something that's actually within the situation that's making it this way? And consider in a serious way, in a mature way, not just whimsically, I try, I don't want to do it. No, not whimsically. You should try with full heart to do whatever service has been assigned to you. But still, if that doesn't work out, then no offense or no harm to try and reassess that with the Vaishnava that gave you that service originally. Is that okay?
Thank you, Devashish Prabhu. Yes, Narayani. I think she's satisfied with the answer.
Good.
Krishna Chaitanya, yes, he's asking. Thank you, Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. He's asking, could you please kindly tell us about jiva aparadha?
Jiva aparadha. Well, that means that, the aparadha to the jiva can come in many ways, but the main thing is that to encourage the misconception of that the jiva is separated from Krishna. This is a misconception. We are eternally connected with Krishna. Only we believe by the influence of Maya that we are separate from Krishna, that we have some separate purpose, some separate identity, and some separate work to do that is not connected with Krishna. And to encourage that, to you can say, fan that misconception, that is, you can say, jiva aparadha, or that is a type of violence against the jiva, because the jivatma is Nitya Krishna Das, the eternal servant of Krishna. And for us to foster any other idea is ultimately a type of violence towards that jiva, because it is denying the jiva his real treasure. So, when we are in ignorance, we may do so many things. We may run around because we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing. And we may do terrible things, but under the misconception. When some years ago, when I was in Kiev, actually, at the Veda Life Festival, one lady, she came up to me after my talk and she asked me, "Oh, can I speak with you?" And I said, "Okay." And my translator was also with me, so she said, "Oh, when I was young," she said, "I had 3 abortions," she told me. "I had 3 abortions, and sometimes when I'm walking in the street, I just get this feeling, it comes in my mind, oh, my unborn children, what did I do? What did I do?" And I feel wretched. I feel terrible. "Do you think that God can ever forgive me for such a sin?" she said. And I could see she's very much suffering very much from that. And I said, yes, of course. There is nothing actually that we can do in this world that is unforgivable, because we're just like children, like an ignorant child on the lap of his mother. Sometimes he may kick her in the face, isn't it? The baby kick the mother in the face. Now, and the mother doesn't take offense at that because she knows it's a baby. Baby doesn't know any better. It's just behaving like a baby. But when the child becomes older, teenager or whatever, if he kicks his mother in the face, that will be a great offense. So similarly, in our ignorance, we may, impelled by all kinds of misconception, we may do so many terrible things. And no doubt killing your child is a terrible thing in the womb. But you do not know, you do not understand what is life, what is the soul, what is all these things. That lady, when she did those things, she didn't understand. But intuitively, she knew it was wrong. Intuitively, sometimes that comes in her consciousness. Oh, my unborn children, what did I do? What did I do? But God, just like the mother, when the baby kicks the mother in the face, the mother doesn't take offense. So the God, the Lord, Krishna, he doesn't take offense at those things. Even that, even killing your own child in the womb, Krishna doesn't take that offense. Of course, there is reaction to everything that we do in this material world. But he also knows that we're ignorant, we're impelled by Maya, by illusion, to do so many things. But Krishna says to Arjuna in the Gita, there is a plane of consciousness where you can destroy the whole universe, destroying all the cows, all the Brahmins, and everyone in that universe, all the children, everyone, and not suffer a murderer's consequence. So that plane of consciousness is the plane of Krishna consciousness, the plane where this material world is only an illusion, the plane where this material world is only temporary, and everything is only a temporary show. Because we know actually that the soul is never killed, the soul never dies, the soul is always there eternally. The body may die, and compelled by illusion, we may do atrocious things, but they're all part of that illusion. But when we become grown up and we understand what is right and what is wrong, what is the nature of the spiritual reality, then that crime may be considered much greater. If we do something in ignorance, it may not be considered the same as if we do something in full knowledge. So knowledge is a dangerous thing in that regard. When we have knowledge, and it's a cliche, I know, but they say, with great knowledge comes great responsibility. The more you know about the reality, the more you have responsibility to not just to yourself, but to everybody else. So to allow others to carry on in their ignorance, and when you know the truth, that may be considered jiva hingsa, or offense or violence towards the jiva. So just rescuing somebody from a starving situation, or rescuing somebody from drowning, or rescuing somebody from some injury, all of these things. We may rescue people from all of those things, and everyone will consider that to be a great thing. But if we don't give them more than that, if we don't give them the truth about life, what is the use of that? What is the use to be rescued from drowning if we're just going to drown in the material world of misconception? What is the use of rescuing somebody from starvation if they're just going to starve their soul of its food? The soul has its own food, and that food is anandam. And we are considered, just like Krishna is considered Satchidananda Vigraha. That is one description of Krishna. Satchid Ananda Vigraha. Vigraha means the form, the spiritual form of Sat, which means eternity, consciousness, existence, and Chit. Chit is consciousness. Chit means that I think, therefore I am. I'm aware of myself, and Anandam, bliss. So these things, Krishna is considered to be the very embodiment of that. And we, as part and parcel of Krishna, as jiva is also considered in his pure state to be Satchid Ananda. So we can say, yes, I agree, Sat, I am eternal. That I feel. I can feel that. And Chit, conscious, I am conscious, yes, I know that. I'm conscious of my own existence. But Anandam, where is that? And we are searching, everyone, devotee or non-devotee, everyone searching after Anandam. Anandam means joy, bliss, fulfillment, inner fulfillment, all these things. But generally we're searching in the wrong place. We're searching in the external world for those things. And we're becoming frustrated for that. We're not getting Anandam. But so Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, Anandam is the food of the soul. Just to exist isn't enough. And just to be conscious of your existence isn't enough. You must have some reason to exist. And that reason to exist is Anandam. That is the necessity of the soul, the food of the soul. And we have the ability to touch that Anandam, to realize that Anandam. And we also have the ability to help others to find that Anandam within themselves. So when we have that knowledge, the knowledge how we can find Anandam in our life, if we don't try to share that with others, then you can say that is jiva aparadha or jiva hingsa, a violence against the jiva. So I'm not sure if that was what you were asking, Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, but anyway, that's my reply.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you very much. If I have understood correctly, jiva aparadha is opposite to jiva doya, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhu, yes, exactly. So jiva doya may sometimes mean, you know, looking after everyone, not doing violence to everyone, being a nice person. But really, jiva doya means to give others Krishna consciousness. And we may say, well, I don't have Krishna consciousness, but we know at least we can direct people in the right way. Go this way, then you go towards Krishna consciousness, you'll go towards fulfillment of your life, and that is real jiva doya.
Thank you. Dandavad.
All right.
Dandavad. Thank you, Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. And also we have one more question, and I think we will finish with that question because the time is passing by. And this is question from Rasananda Prabhu from Moscow, and he is asking, Devashish Prabhu, could you please tell us how Tulasi Devi took a form of a tree?
Well, there is some Puranic explanation about that. That Narayan was given a curse, and that curse by Lakshmi Devi, and he accepted that curse, but as a caveat or condition of that, he told to her, if the curse was that you will appear as a stone, you will become a stone. So that means the Shila, the Narayan Shila, the Shalagram. And so Narayan told her, yes, I accept your curse, but at the same time, where I will appear as a stone, you must appear as a tree. So, and my worship will not be complete without your leave. So then this way she became Tulasi Devi. So it's a Puranic explanation. So what I mean by that is that some kind of historical, a phenomenal explanation. But actually, the Tulasi Devi, she is eternal. It's not that she wasn't Tulasi Devi and then one day she became Tulasi Devi. That she is the Brinda Devi. She is a very close expansion of Srimati Radharani. And so Brindavan means the forest of Tulsi. Brinda means Tulsi. So Brindavan, the eternal abode of Krishna, the literal meaning of that is the forest of Tulsi. And there, Srimati Tulsi Maharani, she's eternally residing there. And she is a form of Jogamaya. And she arranges all everything for the satisfaction of the divine couple, Radha and Govinda. So her position is very high. In fact, in Garga Samhita, Srimati Radharani, she says in Garga Samhita, I learned devotional service from Brinda Devi, from Tulasi Devi. I learned from her. So this is also, of course, another phenomenal explanation. So it's not that one time Radharani didn't have devotion, and then by observing Tulasi Devi, she got devotion. But some kind of lila is there. So it's not finite. It's not that when we hear about these things, we think about them in a linear way, because in this material world, everything is linear. That means it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But in the spiritual world, that thinking won't be very helpful to us. There, time is eternally present. It is eternally now. And so there is no question of it used to be like this or it will be like that in the future. It's only now, eternally. So we don't have the faculty to be able to properly conceive that, because we live in a world of past, present, and future. In the spiritual world is the eternal now, the eternal present. But there is also some past and future there, but how that runs is not the same way as it runs in this material world. So that's beyond our conception. It's a hoaxaja, it's a chintya. It is not possible for us to properly conceive that. So some explanation is given in the scripture. This happened in this way and that happened in that way. But we should understand that Tulasi Devi, she's the eternal Parshada associate of the Lord, and essential in the Leela, Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. Vrindavan is not Vrindavan without Tulasi Devi. So this is how we should try to understand that. So I think our time is over now. So I hope that's a good enough explanation for now.
Thank you, Devashish Prabhu, and thank you, Rasananda Prabhu. Very good question, amazing answer. I was always also wondering. So you see, and we see Muktinath Prabhu finally in the end. Very happily always to see the video on Zooms and faces of devotees. Thank you, Devashish Prabhu, again for giving us such a beautiful lecture and communication and answers, and always amazing to have that, always appreciated. And also for those who participate, big dandavat, and to those who will wondering where to watch these Zooms, Narayani published in the chat box all the groups or the channels where you can do that. Dandavat.
My dandavat to everybody, one by one, and my great fortune and honor to be with you all today. Praying that you all have a very, as it's the beginning of the year, a very happy new year, very Krishna conscious new year, and I hope we will be together again soon, either by Zoom or some other way, or physically together. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda ki jai. All the Vaishnavas all over the world ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.
Bol Sripad Devashish Prabhu ki jai.
Right.
Dandavat pranam.